Is it possible that the first human footprint on Mars wasn't made by an astronaut we know, or was it left behind by someone we were never supposed to see at all? Official exploration records state that human beings have not yet set foot on the red planet. But what if those records are merely a cover for a much deeper and darker history? We find ourselves staring at Martian images, searching for proof of a secret human presence. Mars is like a locked room where we keep finding unexplained and muddy footprints. Is the Cydonia complex a series of natural hills, or the ruins of an ancient civilization? Since Viking 1 touched down, the debate between geological reality and alien architecture has raged. Many dismiss these sightings as pareidolia, our brain's desperate need to find familiar human shapes. Are we truly seeing faces and structures? Or is the red planet just a red herring? Whisperings of a secret space program suggest that humans may have traveled much further than told. Whispered stories about Captain K describe a life spent defending colonies on the Martian surface. The Spirit and Opportunity rovers have captured thousands of photos that defy easy scientific explanation. Some images show strange skulls that remind researchers of ancient head-binding practices on Earth. Could these anomalies be the evidence of a recent visit or a forgotten prehistoric colony? Every new photograph from the surface feels like another piece of a very complex puzzle. What if the history books are missing a chapter about our true reach into the stars? We are told the planet is empty, yet the evidence seems to whisper a different story. To understand where we might be going, we must face the reality of where we've been. We must look closely at the cold, hard facts of the places we supposedly haven't visited. 142 million miles is the staggering distance to a world that truly wants you dead. But space isn't just a vast distance, it is a brutal barrier protecting its deepest secrets. Mars remains Earth's second closest neighbor, yet it feels like an entirely different, hostile reality. Imagine a neighbor who lives next door, but never bothers to turn on the lights. This red planet orbits the sun at an average distance of 142 million lonely miles. Beneath its crimson glow lies a landscape that is bone-chillingly cold and perpetually barren. Every inch of this rusted terrain is officially deadly to any life attempting to survive. How can a world so incredibly distant and hostile still feel so strangely familiar to us? According to every official record, human footsteps have never actually touched this forbidden soil. No astronaut has officially stood upon its surface, leaving the planet untouched by human hands. We are told that Mars remains a pristine wasteland, waiting for its very first visitor. If it is truly a barren desert, why can we not stop looking at it? Our fascination persists, even as Viking 1 sent back images of a silent, frozen world. Rovers like Spirit and Opportunity have wandered these plains, hunting for any sign of life. They search for more than rocks, looking past the veil of Pareidolia and optical illusions. Some whisper of the Cydonia complex, suggesting that these barren sands hide ancient, artificial structures. Others speak of a secret space program, far beyond the reach of the public eye. Tales of Captain K and head-binding artifacts challenge the sterile history we are taught. Still, the official reality remains that this distant red world is completely and utterly empty. But even in this 142 million mile wasteland, our cameras started seeing things that shouldn't be there. Long before we touched its dusty surface, Mars haunted our dreams and fueled our wildest imaginations. For centuries, astronomers stared through blurred glass, searching for signs of life on the rust-colored horizon. We felt an ancient, magnetic pull toward this world known famously as Earth's second closest neighbor. This proximity made the red planet feel reachable, a mirror held up to our own terrestrial existence. Early observers didn't see a barren rock. They saw a vibrant world teeming with unseen civilizations. Mysterious lines across its face were once mistaken for vast canals built by a dying alien race. We speculated about what lived out there, orbiting the sun at a staggering 142 million miles away. This vast distance didn't stop us from projecting our deepest fears and greatest hopes onto the void. Every blurry photograph fueled a growing fever for discovery that would define a whole new generation. The secret space program whispers often suggests that our fascination with Mars predates our public records. Before the modern era, our understanding was a mix of primitive science and pure, unadulterated mythology. We wondered if we were truly alone, or if neighbors watched us from the Cydonia complex region. This historical obsession created a narrative foundation that would eventually collide with a shocking reality. Every telescope click brought us closer to a truth that would soon shatter our earthly perceptions. We were preparing ourselves for an encounter that would change the course of human history forever. Then came the mission that would strip away the fantasy and replace it with cold, hard data. Viking 1 was sent to find life, but it ended up finding something far more unsettling. The red neighbor was finally within our reach, revealing its secrets under the harsh glare of cameras. We expected a desert, but the first images suggested a history much more complex than imagined. Was our fascination just Pareidolia, or were we finally seeing the remnants of a lost world? Even as our technology evolved, the primitive allure of the red planet remained completely unshakable. We were looking for brothers in the stars, but what we found defied every existing scientific law. The stage was set for a discovery that would haunt the scientific community for decades to come. It all began when we finally looked closer at the shadows of the Cydonia plains. Our historical fascination was about to meet its most challenging and terrifying mystery yet. The journey for truth officially began in the summer of 1976, deep within Martian orbit. In 1976, we weren't looking for aliens. We were simply looking for a place to park. The Viking 1 spacecraft was a lonely sentinel, circling the red planet while humanity watched with bated breath. Its mission seemed straightforward. Photograph the dusty Martian surface to find a safe home for Viking 2. Like a hiker scouting for a flat spot to pitch a tent, the probe scanned the alien terrain. Scientists at NASA required the perfect landing site, free from the jagged rocks and treacherous deep craters. Every orbit brought new data, peeling back the layers of a world we had only seen through telescopes. What are the odds of finding the extraordinary when you are searching for the perfectly ordinary and safe? The primary goal was safety, yet the mission was about to stumble into a legendary, cosmic mystery. By late July of 1976, the Viking 1 cameras were focused on the planet's northern hemisphere. This uncharted region held secrets that would soon ignite the imaginations of millions of people back on Earth. The spacecraft began transmitting a sequence of 18 images that would change our perspective of Mars forever. These photographs captured a rugged landscape where light and shadow played strange tricks on the human eye. While scanning for landing spots, the cameras drifted over a mysterious area known as the Cydonia complex. The mission was purely scientific, but the data returning to Earth hinted at something far more profound. Some would later claim these missions were part of a hidden, much larger secret space program. Was this just a routine survey, or were we unknowingly cataloging the remnants of an ancient world? As the digital signals traveled across the void, a shocking shape began to emerge from the static. The northern regions were supposed to be empty deserts, but the 18th frame revealed a haunting anomaly. This discovery would lead to decades of debate regarding Pareidolia and the true history of Mars. Even today, theorists like Captain K wonder if these early missions saw more than they ever admitted. Long before the Spirit and Opportunity rovers arrived, Viking 1 was our first true eye in the sky. It was looking for a landing strip, but it found a silent monument staring back from the dust. The mission was a scout, but the northern hemisphere was hiding something that defied every logical explanation. Viking 1 was supposed to be a scout, but it found a monument that would haunt us forever. Hidden in the northern hemisphere of Mars lay a place that would challenge our understanding of reality. Within a tiny 25-square-mile patch of dust, the universe finally seemed to stare back at us. This desolate region, known as the Cydonia complex, became the most controversial landscape in our solar system. As Viking 1 beamed its images back to Earth, mission controllers saw something they never expected. Emerging from the shadows was a massive, human-like face carved directly into the red Martian stone. It was a frozen expression of silent watchfulness, gazing forever upward into the dark cosmic void. Is this a mere coincidence of geology, or a deliberate message left in ancient stone for us? Skeptics quickly pointed to Pareidolia, the human tendency to see familiar patterns where none actually exists. Finding a face on a distant planet is like discovering a wristwatch in the middle of a desert. But the mystery deepened as the camera panned across the surrounding area of the Sidonian complex. Not far from the haunting face, researchers identified a cluster of structures they simply called the city. These geometric arrangements appeared far too organized to be the result of random wind and erosion. Rectangular mounds and massive blocks stood in patterns that echoed the ruins of an ancient terrestrial civilization. Then, rising from the plains, appeared a structure that defied every known law of natural formation. It was a colossal five-sided pyramid, a geometric shape that rarely occurs in the wild chaos of nature. Why does nature build in such perfect five-sided symmetry on a planet supposedly dead for billions of years? This massive pyramid seemed to align perfectly with the face and the city in the distance. Some wonder if this complex was part of a secret space program history we are not told. Others speculate about ancient head-binding traditions and their strange connection to these towering Martian features. While Spirit and Opportunity rovers explored elsewhere, the shadows of Cydonia continued to fuel our wildest imaginations. Even Captain K and other whistleblowers have hinted that these structures are far more than mere rocks. Every angle of the Sidonian complex suggests a design that feels eerily familiar to our own eyes. Is it possible that the first human footprint on Mars was actually made eons before we arrived? The face, the city, and the pyramid remain silent sentinels in a landscape of red dust and mystery. A face, a city, and a pyramid. Too perfect to be natural, or too strange to be real. The dream of Cydonia lasted for decades, until the cameras orbiting Mars finally got much better. What the shadow once gave, the cold light of modern science began to take away. Can we truly trust our eyes when the angle of the sun changes everything we see? For years, the Cydonia complex remained a blurry enigma, fueling endless rumors of a secret space program. NASA officials eventually classified these famous anomalies as nothing more than clever, natural optical illusions. To provide proof, the European Space Agency joined NASA to capture the site with unprecedented clarity. They released high-resolution images, taken from multiple angles to strip the mystery from the Martian soil. These new snapshots revealed the haunting face was actually a massive mesa of jagged, broken rocks. Scientists pointed to Pareidolia, our brain's tendency to find familiar patterns in random, chaotic shapes. It is like seeing a monster in your room, only to find a pile of laundry instead. Geologists largely disagreed with conspiracy theorists who claimed these ancient structures were artificial alien monuments. The official explanation insisted that simple tricks of light and shadow created the famous humanoid features. If it is just a mesa, why did the Viking 1 images look so perfect originally? While Spirit and Opportunity rovers explored elsewhere, the debate over Cydonia continued to burn brightly. Skeptics wondered if higher resolution was being used to mask a much deeper, darker truth. Even with clear evidence, the allure of the Martian face refused to fade from public imagination. Some theorists even linked these shapes to ancient practices, like head binding found back on Earth. Stories of Captain K and secret Martian colonies persisted despite the mundane geological data provided. Every new pixel seemed to solve one riddle while simultaneously creating 10 more for the believers. For NASA, the case was closed. But for the rest of us, the anomalies were just starting. We moved from looking from orbit to crawling on the surface of the alien red world. In 2004, we sent twin explorers to the red dust searching for signs of ancient life. They were looking for water, but they sent back something much more disturbing than dry riverbeds. These robotic pioneers, Spirit and Opportunity, touched down on Mars to change our history forever. While NASA celebrated their arrival, the real mysteries were hiding in plain sight within the images. These rovers were designed to be our eyes, scanning every inch of the desolate Martian terrain. As they crawled through the dust, they captured thousands of high-resolution photos for the public archives. But how many secrets are still sitting in public archives, waiting for someone to finally notice? The NASA archives are like a giant attic where the most interesting things are hidden away. For years, most of these images were ignored by everyone except a few dedicated anomaly hunters. These explorers didn't just find rocks. They found shapes that defied every logical geological explanation. While Opportunity eventually became unresponsive in 2010, its legacy lived on through the data it sent. Even after years of silence, the files stored on Earth were teeming with unexplained visual anomalies. Spirit and Curiosity continued to transmit images, adding more pieces to the growing Martian puzzle. Every transmission brought new questions about whether we were truly alone on this dead planet. Some claim these missions were part of a secret space program hidden behind public science. Was the mission truly about water? Or were we looking for something left behind by others? Why did it take 9 years for researchers to find what was right in front of us? The truth might be buried in the back of a digital drawer, waiting for a discovery. Buried in the archives for 9 years was a photo that should have changed everything. When the rovers looked down at the Martian dust, the rocks suddenly started looking back at us. Skulls on Mars do not just look like human remains. They mirror Earth's darkest ancient history. Finding these strange shapes is like discovering a silent graveyard on a planet that is supposed to be dead. In 2005, the Spirit rover captured a specific image that would remain hidden for 9 years. This controversial photograph sat quietly in the NASA archives until curious observers found it in 2014. Within those dusty pixels, a shape emerged that appeared to be a bleached, humanoid skull resting in dirt. Is it possible that nature is capable of carving a perfect femur out of solid, alien rock? The Spirit rover continued its trek, sending back images of what appeared to be elongated skulls nearby. On Earth, these strangely shaped skulls are famous relics often found deep within ancient Mayan ruins. Historians know these shapes come from head binding, a ritual practice used by several distinct human cultures. Why would an alien skull found on a distant world look exactly like a modified human one? Skeptics often point to Pareidolia, the human tendency to see familiar patterns where none actually exist. Yet, the similarities to the Cydonia complex and its mysterious monuments are difficult for many to ignore. While Spirit explored the hills, the Curiosity rover was busy finding its own set of terrifying anomalies. Curiosity transmitted high-resolution images depicting several more objects that bear a striking resemblance to skulls. One particular frame captured a feature that looks remarkably like a weathered, biological thigh bone. This apparent femur seems out of place among the jagged stones, suggesting a past we don't understand. Is this just more evidence of the secret space program or a relic of a lost civilization? Another image from the surface appears to show the broken head of a grand, ancient statue. This stone face rests partially buried, reminding researchers of the early Viking 1 discoveries from decades ago. These anomalies challenge the narrative that Mars has always been a barren and lifeless desert world. If these are merely rocks, why do they so perfectly mirror the sacred rituals of the Maya? Tales of Captain K suggest a hidden war, but these images provide the physical evidence seekers crave. Every new photograph from the Spirit and Curiosity rovers adds a layer of mystery to the Martian crust. The resemblance to biological remains is so precise that it defies simple geological explanations for many. We are left to wonder if we are looking at rocks or the remains of those who lived there. The elongated skulls found by Spirit suggest a culture that shared Earth's most bizarre ancient traditions. Whether through head binding or biology, these shapes stand out against the backdrop of red dust. NASA remains firm that these are geological formations, yet the visual evidence continues to mount. From thigh bones to humanoid faces, the surface of Mars is starting to look like a battlefield. Could the same forces that shaped the Cydonia complex be responsible for these smaller, grim relics? Each skull-like rock forces us to question if we are truly the first intelligent life here. As Curiosity climbs higher, the anomalies only seem to become more frequent and even more disturbing. The statuette found in the dust suggests a level of artistry that nature rarely achieves alone. If these are just coincidences, Mars is the most creative sculptor in the known solar system. But if they are real, then the history books regarding our red neighbor must be entirely rewritten. The hunt for truth continues as we sift through thousands of public images for the next clue. Every bone and every skull brings us closer to a reality that NASA might be hiding. If these are just rocks, why do they mirror the rituals of the Maya so perfectly? The deeper we dig into the rover files, the more the red planet begins to bleed. Skeptics claim Pareidolia is responsible for the faces and forms we find across the Martian surface. They argue our brains are hardwired to find order and meaning within the random chaos of nature. But the Curiosity rover discovered a formation that is remarkably difficult to categorize as a simple stone. Lying in the dust is a smooth, elongated object that bears a striking resemblance to a thigh bone. This feature, captured in high resolution, shows the distinct joints and shaft of a biological femur. If this were found in an Earth desert, archaeologists would be rushing to excavate the site immediately. Along with these skeletal shapes, we find skulls that mirror a very specific human practice from our past. These Martian skulls appear elongated, a trait famously shared by remains found within ancient Mayan ruins. In Mayan culture, this unique shape was achieved through the intense and deliberate practice of head binding. To see this exact biological anomaly on another planet challenges everything we know about cultural development. Critics suggest that the Spirit and Opportunity rovers have proven how wind can carve almost anything. They point to the hoodoos of Earth's deserts as proof that nature loves to create deceptive, human-like shapes. Yet, Earth's natural formations rarely possess the anatomical symmetry found in these chilling Martian discoveries. Could the secret space program be hiding the fact that these are actually relics of an ancient migration? Some believe that Captain K and others have already confirmed the existence of Martian graveyards. The Cydonia complex was our first hint, but the surface evidence is becoming far too specific to ignore. Viking once started this debate, and decades later, the evidence only seems to grow more compelling and strange. We are left to wonder if these rocks are just stones, or if they are silent witnesses. Every image sends a ripple through the scientific community, sparking fierce debates between logic and wonder. If nature is merely playing a game of mimicry, it is playing with incredible, haunting precision. How many coincidences are required before a geological anomaly becomes a piece of forgotten history? The thigh bone and the bound skulls stand as a mystery that the desert winds cannot easily erase. As we gaze upon these artifacts, we must decide if we believe our eyes or our textbooks. The red sands may be covering a past that connects us to the stars in ways we never imagined. What else is hiding in the shadows of a world we are only just beginning to truly see? But here is where the story shifts from ancient geology to a modern, chilling conspiracy. What if the bones found in the dust aren't millions of years old, but actually recent? In July 2014, a mysterious whistleblower stepped out of the shadows using the pseudonym Captain K. This man was no ordinary civilian. He was a highly trained ex-US Marine with a story. Captain K shocked the world by claiming his military service took place far beyond Earth's atmosphere. He alleged that 17 of his 20 Navy years were spent stationed directly on the Red Planet. His mission was reportedly part of a top-secret space program that officially does not even exist. According to Captain K, there are currently 5 active human colonies thriving on the Martian surface. These secret outposts supposedly require constant protection from the indigenous life forms that call Mars home. While NASA uses Pareidolia to explain anomalies, Captain K suggests the truth is far more physical. Since the days of Viking 1, we have been told that Mars is a desolate wasteland. But Captain K's testimony paints a picture far more complex than the Cydonia complex ever did. Could a man really live on Mars for nearly 2 decades without the entire world knowing? This startling testimony suggests that our neighbors aren't just rocks, but a hidden, thriving civilization. While rovers like Spirit and Opportunity scanned for microbes, Captain K speaks of full-scale planetary war. Skeptics dismiss his claims as fiction, yet his detailed accounts leave many questions completely unanswered. He described a sprawling infrastructure managed by what he calls the secret space program. The indigenous Martians he described aren't the little green men we usually see in science fiction. Instead, they are portrayed as a territorial threat to the human pioneers living in secret bunkers. His story plays out like a high-stakes blockbuster movie unfolding in the deepest shadows of reality. If his words are true, the first footprint on Mars happened decades before we were told. It would mean a massive, global cover-up has successfully hidden the greatest achievement in human history. Maintaining 5 colonies would require resources and technology far beyond what the public currently sees. Whether Captain K is a visionary or a fabulist, his testimony changed the Martian conversation forever. He spent 17 long years on Mars, protecting human colonies from things we aren't told exist. If Captain K was alone, we could dismiss him, but he isn't the only one coming forward. It's not just one man. It's a chorus of voices from the highest circles of power. Why would people with this much to lose come forward with such an impossible story? It's like a puzzle where all the pieces are being handed to us by different strangers. Let's look at Michael Rao, a man who has provided detailed testimony regarding secret Martian bases. He speaks of structures on the moon and the Red Planet that officially shouldn't even exist. Ralph's accounts are echoed by Randy Kramer, who also claims to have served on those remote outposts. Together, they describe a complex network of lunar and Martian installations, hidden far from public view. Their stories are consistent, painting a picture of a massive infrastructure already established in deep space. Is this a shared delusion? Or are we looking at a coordinated disclosure of hidden history? Then we have Corey Good, who brings even more startling revelations to the growing narrative. Good claims to have worked within a top-secret space program that spans the entire solar system. His testimony describes technology and alliances that sound more like science fiction than modern reality. He speaks of a clandestine effort to explore and colonize worlds far beyond our own atmosphere. These accounts add another layer to the chilling conspiracy of a hidden human presence on Mars. But perhaps the most shocking claim comes from someone with a direct link to the White House. Meet Laura Magdalene Eisenhower, the great-granddaughter of the former President of the United States. Her family name carries immense weight, yet she's risking it all to share a truth. She claims she was personally targeted for recruitment into a secret colony on the Martian surface. This wasn't a casual suggestion, but a calculated effort to bring her into the fold. She describes a world where the elite are already preparing for a future away from Earth. But who would have the authority to lead such a massive and secret recruitment campaign? According to Eisenhower, the efforts were reportedly headed by the renowned physicist Dr. Halp. Puthoff is not a fringe theorist, but a scientist with deep ties to high-level government research. Having a name like his attached to these claims adds a disturbing layer of credibility. Why would an elite physicist be involved in recruiting civilians for a colony on Mars? Is this a secret effort to preserve humanity, or something far more mysterious and controlled? Whether you believe them or not, these individual testimonies are beginning to align in strange ways. From great-granddaughters of presidents to elite physicists, the names keep stacking up in this mystery. The question remains, is this recruitment for our future, or a warning of what's already happened? While Captain K's testimony is jarring, another voice brings a haunting presidential legacy to the table. This isn't just a random whistleblower, but someone carrying one of history's most powerful political names. Meet Laura Magdalene Eisenhower, the great-granddaughter of the 34th President of the United States. Her connection to Dwight D. Eisenhower gives her startling claims a weight that few others can match. Laura asserts that she was directly targeted for recruitment into a clandestine colony on the Red Planet. This wasn't a standard space mission, but a deep dive into the shadows of the secret space program. She describes a sophisticated effort to populate Mars, hidden far away from public scrutiny and NASA's cameras. The recruitment allegedly happened around 2006, suggesting that human activity on Mars is already a reality. Such claims might seem like mere fantasy if they weren't linked to highly respected scientific figures. Enter Dr. Puthoff, a renowned physicist whose work often blurs the line between science and science fiction. Reports suggest that Puthoff was a central figure heading these ambitious Mars colony recruitment efforts. Having a physicist of his stature involved adds a layer of technical credibility to these wild assertions. We have to wonder if these recruitment drives explain the anomalies found by Spirit and Opportunity. Is it possible that what we dismiss as pareidolia is actually evidence of a hidden human presence? While many see rocks, Eisenhower and her allies see the infrastructure of a secret interplanetary civilization. The Cydonia complex might not just be ancient ruins, but a backdrop for modern, covert operations. If a presidential descendant is telling the truth, the history of Mars is being rewritten in secret. Skeptics argue these stories are elaborate myths, yet the specific names involved make them difficult to ignore. Every detail she shares pulls us deeper into a mystery that spans generations of the Eisenhower family. As we analyze these claims, the boundary between planetary science and deep state conspiracy begins to vanish. Her story suggests that the Viking 1 images were only the beginning of a much larger deception. If these recruitment efforts are real, then the Red Desert is already home to a new frontier. Her testimony connects the dots between government secrecy and the ambitious goal of human Martian colonization. Laura Magdalene Eisenhower is now breaking the silence to warn us about these hidden interplanetary agendas. The intersection of high-level physics and presidential bloodlines creates a narrative that demands our full attention. While the whistleblowers talk of hidden programs, the rovers are still watching the surface for strange clues. On a lonely Martian hill, a figure stands, waving its arms at a machine from Earth. This startling discovery brings us back to the dusty reality captured by Spirit and Opportunity rovers. One particular image captured what looks like a massive, Bigfoot-like creature roaming a desolate Martian hill. Enthusiasts quickly named this anomaly the Sasquatch, sparking fresh debates about life in the red dust. Skeptics point to Pareidolia, suggesting our brains are simply hunting for familiar shapes in random rocks. Yet, the sheer detail of the Sasquatch silhouette makes it difficult to dismiss as mere geological debris. Could a creature truly survive in this frozen wasteland? Or is it just a masterfully timed illusion? Further across the planet, another image reveals a figure known to many as the Guardian of Mars. This entity appears to be standing upright, extending its arms toward the rover in a friendly greeting. Finding these figures is like seeing a face in the clouds, but the cloud is made of iron. The Guardian stands out against the horizon, its proportions strikingly similar to a human or a humanoid visitor. Is this a greeting for our technology? Or a silent warning to stay away from a sacred place? The rover's lens froze this moment in time, leaving us with a visual puzzle that defies easy explanation. Every pixel of the Guardian suggests movement, a living presence caught in the middle of a grand gesture. If this is just a rock, nature has carved it into a hauntingly perfect imitation of life itself. What makes the Guardian image even more puzzling is the distinct plume of dust rising directly behind it. This trail of particles suggests a sudden burst of energy or a physical disturbance on the Martian surface. Is that a plume of dust from a natural geyser, or from someone moving quickly through the dirt? Officially, geyser activity has never been observed on Mars, making this mysterious dust cloud even more baffling. If there are no geysers, we must ask what mechanical or organic force kicked up that red spray. The presence of the figure and the dust together creates a scene that feels undeniably active and alive. Not far from these anomalies, the Curiosity rover spotted a dark figure perched high upon a distant cliff. They call this entity the Watcher, a silent observer looking down from its vantage point above the plains. As the rover crawls across the ancient basin, one must wonder, who is watching the Watcher? This tiny dark shape stands in stark contrast to the light-colored stone of the surrounding Martian landscape. Its posture suggests a focused gaze, as if it is monitoring the progress of our terrestrial machines below. As the Martian sun begins to set, the rovers have captured something even more difficult to explain. A brilliant light appears on the horizon, glowing with an intensity that seems both artificial and controlled. This light was photographed just before twilight, shining out from the shadows of the darkening Martian hills. Unlike the reflection of a rock, this glow radiates with a consistency that hints at a powered source. These mysterious sunset lights remind us that the red planet still holds secrets we are barely beginning to grasp. We are left with images of lights in the twilight and strange figures standing on distant cliffs. But what are we actually seeing through the eyes of these robotic explorers from our distant home? The line between geological oddities and genuine alien encounters remains as thin as the Martian atmosphere itself. If Mars is truly a dead world, why does the sky appear so busy during the day? It is not just what we find on the ground that challenges our understanding of the planet. Looking up from the dusty surface, we find mysteries that defy simple explanations or local phenomena. While the Viking 1 orbiter mapped the land, surface rovers began capturing something far more startling. Imagine standing in the thin Martian atmosphere, watching the sun track across a cold, orange sky. Suddenly, a glint of metal catches the light, moving with a precision that suggests intelligent control. One particular image, captured during the bright afternoon, has left investigators struggling for a logical answer. It shows a distinct object suspended in the air, far above the jagged horizon of the crater. Unlike the tricks of light, often labeled as Pareidolia, this capture presents a solid, structured form. Could this be a craft belonging to the rumored secret space program mentioned by If Captain K's testimony holds any truth, we might be seeing our own advanced technology in flight. Yet, the Spirit and Opportunity rovers were never designed to track fast-moving aerial anomalies in real time. Seeing a UFO on Mars is like finding a modern aircraft in a pre-industrial landscape painting. Critics suggest these are merely lens flares, but can a flare move with such apparent intent? Dust devils often swirl across the plains, but they rarely take the shape of metallic, disc-like objects. If these crafts do not belong to us, we must ask whose hands are on the controls. Every afternoon, capture adds another layer to the mystery of what truly haunts the Martian heavens. We are forced to decide if we are alone or merely uninvited guests in someone else's territory. The evidence suggests that something is watching, waiting, and navigating the skies of this ancient world. A silent traveler in the afternoon sun leaves no clouds, no birds, and absolutely no easy explanation. While the afternoon sky holds its own mysteries, the Martian surface offers even stranger visual puzzles. One specific image has captivated researchers, featuring a solitary figure known colloquially as the Guardian. This silent sentinel stands alone, yet it is the environment behind it that truly defies explanation. If you look closely at the Guardian capture, a massive plume appears to rise from the dust. This vertical column of material suggests a world far more active than we have been told. At first glance, many skeptics dismiss this anomaly as a common, naturally occurring geological event. They point toward geyser activity, a process where internal pressure forces material high into the atmosphere. On a frozen world like Mars, such a phenomenon would provide a convenient, logical explanation. But here is where the official narrative begins to crumble under the weight of scientific data. Despite decades of orbital surveillance, geyser activity has never been officially observed on the Red Planet. This striking absence of evidence turns a simple geological theory into a profound and chilling mystery. If it isn't a geyser venting pressure, what exactly is launching that massive plume of dust? We are left with a visual signature that contradicts everything we know about Martian planetary science. Is this plume a byproduct of hidden machinery operating just beneath the desolate, red surface? Or could it be a deliberate signal, meant to be seen by the very rovers we sent? Te Guardian stands watch, while the impossible cloud behind it challenges our fundamental understanding of Mars. Without a natural explanation, we must consider possibilities that lean toward the artificial or the ancient. Every pixel of this image seems to scream that we are not looking at dead rock. This anomaly forces us to ask if the secret space program is hiding more than technology. If the planet is geologically dead, then the activity we see must have another, darker source. The mystery of the Guardian plume deepens as we realize the official science cannot explain it. As we peel back these layers, the evidence of a hidden Martian history becomes impossible to ignore. Are we truly seeing Mars, or just a reflection of ourselves mirrored in the red dust? Our brains are hardwired to find familiar friends hidden within the chaotic textures of the universe. Before we pack our bags for the colony, we must talk about how our minds lie to us. Science calls this phenomena Pareidolia, the human tendency to see familiar patterns in random inanimate objects. It is like seeing a face in a toasted sandwich. You cannot stop seeing it once it appears. This psychological trait evolves to help our ancestors spot predators hiding in the dense, prehistoric brush. From the Viking 1 orbit, the Cydonia complex looked like a monumental city built by ancient hands. High-resolution cameras later revealed these structures were merely shadows playing across natural weathered rock formations. Yet, the initial emotional impact of that first face on Mars remains etched in our collective memory. The Spirit and Opportunity rovers captured countless shapes that look suspiciously like skulls and skeletal remains. To the skeptical eye, these are just volcanic rocks shaped by millions of years of Martian wind. Our imagination fills the gaps, turning a jagged edge into the curve of a humanoid jawline. When whistleblowers like Captain K speak, they move the conversation from geology to deep conspiracy. They claim the secret space program has already established a presence beneath the harsh Martian surface. However, we must acknowledge a critical truth. There is currently zero physical proof for these claims. Claims of head-binding rituals and lost dynasties offer a rich, cinematic vision of Mars's past. These vivid descriptions of Martian society often collide directly with the barren reality shown by rovers. While the secret space program narrative is complex, it lacks the tangible evidence science demands. We are forced to ask if these whistleblowers are seeing truth or psychological projections. Without a single piece of hardware or a physical artifact, these stories remain strictly anecdotal. Can a single psychological term like Pareidolia truly debunk years of detailed first-hand testimony? We are left caught between the cold comfort of science and the burning desire for discovery. Yet, even with science on our side, the stories remain, refusing to fade into the red horizon. Because science cannot explain every shadow yet, the mystery of the red planet continues to grow. So we return to where we started, staring at that lonely, red dot in the sky. Mars is a mirror, reflecting our deepest curiosities and our most chilling fears back at us. What we find there depends entirely on what we are brave enough to look for today. From the first grainy images of Viking 1, our imagination has outpaced our mechanical reach. We saw the Cydonia complex and dreamed of ancient civilizations waiting beneath the dust and stone. Later, the Spirit and Opportunity rovers sent us closer, turning every rock into a potential fossil. Science tells us it is just pareidolia, a trick of light played on an eager mind. Yet, the shadows of head-binding and skeletal remains continue to haunt our collective curiosity. We must ask if we are truly alone, or if a secret space program hides the truth. The testimony of whistleblowers like Captain K adds layers of mystery to the empty Martian plains. Despite these haunting tales, official exploration records state that humans have never set foot on Mars. This leaves us in a strange middle ground between established science and the lure of conspiracy. Is Mars a graveyard of a lost past, or the cradle of our future survival? Every new image from the surface invites us to question everything we think we know. We should keep our eyes open and our minds ready for the next impossible discovery. The red planet remains a riddle, wrapped in dust, and waiting for the first true footstep. Perhaps the truth is buried deep, just waiting for the right moment to be revealed. Until that day comes, we will continue to watch the lights dance across the Martian sky. If you enjoyed this journey into the unknown, please hit the like button and subscribe. Your support helps us dive deeper into the mysteries that lie beyond our own world. Share your thoughts below. Do you believe Mars is truly a dead and empty world? Sleep tight and keep looking up, because the red planet is always waiting for us.